Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So, for this tutorial, we are going to download our Google Colab and then have it loaded into our Jupyter Notebook, which we have here, right? But of course, first we need to set up our Jupyter Notebook, right? And then set up the folder so that we know where to put our Google Colab file into that folder, and then so that we can continue, right? The assumption here is that so far we've been using Google Colab, which is here, right? And you might have also written so many codes following this tutorial, and then um, what is this? And then this time around, we are not going to use Google Colab anymore, but we're going to use the Jupyter Notebook earlier. But of course, this is just optional. You can actually continue with using Google Colab, but for those who has limited internet connection, for example, especially those in islands, for example, here in the Philippines, or wherever you are, if you don't have like strong internet connections, you might want to just use the Jupyter Notebook because this one does not need any internet connection. Okay, so therefore, for us to continue with what we've written already, right, and we want to document it, for example, or you want to document it at least to have it in one document or in one notebook, then we can simply download our Google Colab and then have it loaded into our Jupyter um, notebook, right? But again, to my point earlier, first we need to set up our Jupyter notebook. So let me just close this first, right? Let me close this first. And then in my terminal earlier, so let me also close this, right? Terminate. So first, before for us to load uh, Jupyter Notebook or JupyterLab, first of course you go to your start menu and then open Julia, right? So I would say Julia here, right? So here it is. I can just enter that, right? And it should load the terminal earlier. And so if I click that icon earlier, it will actually look like something like this one if you are in a Mac, right? Now, once you have this, of course, in Windows, it will also open that command prompt once you click that icon. So, and then after that, we can then load the iJulia, which we installed previously. But if you were not able to install that, you can just write something like using pkg, and then after that pkg.add, and then within code you say you write iJulia, right? That's how you install it. But since I have it already, so I don't have to do that. Instead, I can then just directly load the library itself, which is iJulia. So using iJulia, I'm going to use that library. And of course, in succeeding videos, I'm going to discuss more about these different libraries that we can install in Julia, right? So now that we have using iJulia, and I don't have it in here already, I've closed it. So to open the JupyterLab, you just type in JupyterLab. So there you go. If I actually type just JU, and then as you can see, there's actually a suggestion. You can actually just press tab, and then it will actually just autocomplete, right? And then after that, once you open that JupyterLab, you can just have it with an open and close parenthesis because this is a function. I know you don't know what a function yet at the moment, but we're going to discuss that inshallah. And then after that, you just press enter, and then it should open your browser because it will use your browser as your interface. Now let me just close some of the applications I have here so that it will be quite clean, a little bit cleaner. There you go. Now that it is open, as I mentioned before, on your case, it will likely be something like this, right? It will look like something like this, and likely on your sidebar it will look like something like this, maybe, right? So what we want to do is that we have to set up our folder first, so that we can just what is this, upload our files into that folder. So up to you, you can just actually create your own folder, um, and then what is this, we can then just place our files into that folder. So for my case, I have it already, and it's so I have so many projects in here. So let's see, it's actually here. So we can just actually paste it in here, and then we can just paste it in here, and then yeah, there you go. So we have this folder already, and then we can then start creating our own file, right? So let me just delete this actually, because this is untitled. Delete. And then I can just, for me to create a new Jupyter notebook similar to that Google Colab notebook, I can just go to this notebook, and then I can just choose whether I want it to be in a Python or in Julia. For our case, of course, we are going to use Julia, so I'm just going to click that. Alhamdulillah. There you go. As you can see, I'm still using an old version here, 11.1.11.7.5. I think last time we checked, it was already 1.11.7. So inshallah, in our next session, I might actually update that already. But there you go. Once you open it, it will look like something like this. And if I can just zoom in, right? And this is similar to Google Colab, where we can simply write our codes. But of course, we don't want to create a new one. Oh, up to you. You can actually just create a new one also, and you can just actually write your Julia codes if ever, right? If you want to just organize your files. But if in case you have a Google Colab file that you've already that you've used for this tutorial so far, following the previous tutorials, right? So as you can see, because we are here, we are now in Google Colab again. As you can see here, it got disconnected, our server, right? And so this time around, if I want to run this, I have to reconnect it again, and so on and so forth, because Google Colab uses an internet connection, and it uses a computer which is from Google. And so sometimes if you are not using it for quite, I mean, for maybe 30 minutes, maybe it will actually disconnect that computer, so that it will, of course, what is this, not consume much cost from Google's end, at least. And so that's why they are actually disconnecting. That's the disadvantage, of course, of using a cloud-based editor for doing Julia programming. But you will not have such issue if you're going to use your own computer, right? Because it will only disconnect if you want to really disconnect it, right? So anyways, let's download this file. So all you have to do is just click the file here, and then just go to downloads, and then download, and then just click this download.ipynb. That's actually short for IPython notebook, because before Jupyter Notebook, this concept of being able to run your codes in a cell, execute it dynamically, and add some text, that one was initially done, or at least it was an initiative from Python programming language. They made this IPython notebook, and it was actually a great idea. And so in fact, we are using it for Julia already. And so other languages was added into that, and they just, because it's not anymore exclusive to Python, they then rebranded it into Jupyter, right? Ju for Julia, Py for Python, and R in that name, Jupyter, is for our language, right? And of course, there are so many other languages also that you can also use for running to run in Julia, in Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so let's download that. So let's click that. There you go. So it's already in my download folder. So all I just have to go to my download folder, and then I can just drag the file, which is this one. Okay, if I can drag it, there you go, and then I can just go to my that new tab here, which is the folder that we already opened in our JupyterLab. So it's already here. So if I go to my JupyterLab or Jupyter Notebook, so if I say JupyterLab or Jupyter Notebook, they're just actually more or less the same. JupyterLab is actually the latest. I mean, this is the latest generation of Jupyter Notebook. So it's actually an improved version of Jupyter Notebook. So this is how it looks like. So we've already pasted it here, and so as you can see, this is the file that we just pasted into the folder, right? So if I click this, there you go. So this is the file that you saw in our Google Colab, which is this one, right? So as you can see here, this is how it looks like. So if I can actually put that side by side, let me see. Okay, I think it's not working in Z, so unfortunately you cannot put it side by side. Anyways, so this is the equivalent of it once we uh, put it into a JupyterLab, right? So there you go. So this is what we've like written from our previous tutorial, and now we are going to proceed and go to functions, right? So I guess for now, let me just delete this. So there you go, and then let me just run everything. So running code here is just similar to Google Colab, which is just shift enter. So shift enter. So there you go. I'm running everything. So some has errors, some has no errors. You can see this was the tutorial that we did until the while loop, and there you go. And then we also have our function. Okay, now we are in the function, right? But I guess just to organize everything, let's just have this in our next tutorial. Alhamdulillah. Assalamu alaikum.